Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. I am so looking forward to this conversation, guys. I have B-Rad joining me on the channel. We are talking minor nerf again here, and who better to get on the channel than yourself? Brad, what's up, man? First off, how you doing?
Hey, Ash, I'm actually doing really well. Maybe except for the topic of this video, I'm doing great overall.
Well, we had a little bit of a preamble before I hit record, and I gotta say, I was surprised at a couple of your opinions. I think my viewers are going to be as well, especially those of you who don't watch all of Brad's live streams, which you should, by the way. Subscribe to him, his YouTube channel, and his social media. Everything will be linked in the show notes below. But Brad, I mean, talk to us. Where do we start here with all this minor stuff? Let me just start, before we get into minor specifically, what do you think about the meta in general right now? It feels like a lot of people love it, and some people are kind of like, meh. Where do you fall?
I mean, recently, I feel like Supercell has done a great job on balancing win conditions specifically, because almost every single win condition is viable to an extent. Maybe that's why kind of minor right now is perceived to be almost a problem, because he can go in any of those archetypes as a secondary win condition.
Yeah, secondary win condition. And do you think that's how they envisioned minor when they released him, like as a secondary win condition? Or do you think the scope of minor has changed throughout the 3 or 4 years since he's been in the game?
I feel like it's definitely changed. So I remember when minor first came out, it was only in like really minor poison type decks and maybe giant minor, and that was really it at the time. Now it's really versatile. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, he's almost everywhere. Like, he can be a win condition on himself, as you know, like the 3.0. But what do you consider, when you play 3.0 minor cycle, do you consider him the main win condition?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So you can be a win condition by himself, or he can just be secondary, which I think that he's a secondary win condition, as you're alluding to, even more than he is the main win condition right now in the meta. So what do you think? I mean, it sounds like he's getting a nerf. By the way, guys, I mean, the whole starting of all of this stuff is, the whole genesis, I should say, of all this is when Clash Royale tweeted that, you know, there's going to be a really unpopular balance change coming in March. We're sorry, at B-Rad. So,
I feel personally attacked a little bit.
I know,
yeah.
right? That's very that's borderline bullying to you, my man. So all jokes aside, you know, first impressions when you saw that tweet, when you woke up that morning or whatever, and you saw that you were tagged by Clash Royale, and they were like, "Sorry, B-Rad." I mean, what did you think when you saw that?
You know, I was kind of almost praying it was April 1st, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, first reaction, it's out of control almost. It's over 30% usage rate in grand challenges, something crazy like that. I think it's deserved to some extent. Whatever it is, hopefully it's not too severe. A little biased maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's the crazy thing, right? Is you are biased, but I thought you'd be biased. Like, it's one of those things, and I respect you for saying this, because obviously you don't want minor to be nerfed. I mean, you're the minor god, right? I mean, but at the same time, you do acknowledge that, in your opinion, and I polled my viewers too, over 100,000 votes, and only about 25-30% of people wanted him nerfed. So you're in the minority as well, but I feel like that's kind of the same situation about every nerf. People's gut instinct is, don't nerf this card because I have it and I like it or whatever. But, you know, so you cited the 30% use rates. Why else do you think? Is it just that his use rates are too high right now? Is that why you think? Because he doesn't feel oppressive to me.
No, of course not. When you're going against a minor, you're never like, oh crap, I can't defend a minor. What do I do?
Yeah.
No, it's not that. I think any support cards, because right now there's a Magic Archer Wallbreaker deck going around. The minor is just such an easy card, just a slap in the deck to really round it out. Maybe as a tank, maybe as another win condition. A lot of those decks just use the minor as a distraction and letting the Wallbreakers or the Magic Archer go to town in your tower. So I don't know.
Yeah, so it sounds like you have more of a problem with decks that use him as a secondary win condition. So how would you nerf the minor?
In my opinion, it would have to be health. So a lot of those secondary win conditions that he's in, all those decks, use him as a tank. I feel like maybe he's not supposed to do damage and tank at the same time. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, so I get it. So you don't like him going in there. So with the giant minor deck, you don't really have a problem with that because the giant's kind of tanking. He's like a chip damage. But with most decks, he's like a mini tank as well as has like that flexibility.
I'm just thinking about like the giant, the balloon miners, the mortar miners with all that bait stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and man, even you saying balloon miner and mortar miner, it's like, yeah, he is in every deck or every archetype.
I know.
You're like, yeah, you know, those golem miner decks. And
I'm sure there's some mad lad out there playing Expo Miner.
Indeed, yeah, he's everywhere. And man, okay, so before we get in, because I have really some meta theory that I want to ask you about, but before we get into that, just another kind of follow-up question. Do you see minor as maybe a subtle overarching problem that makes cards like Wall Breakers seem more strong than they are? Like, if they nerf Miner, which it sounds like they're going to, do you feel like they should be reluctant to nerf cards like I don't know, Magic Archer or Wall Breakers, cards that are almost always seen with it?
Yeah, I think if they can't just nerf the miner and expect everything else to be solved. There's other cards that could also use a nerf, Bomb Tower, all things like that are very strong right now. But as you said, I think they would have to touch other cards also. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. We had Morton and Flobby on yesterday, and they said the same thing. They were like, they mentioned they both agree with the minor nerf, and they also mentioned that Bomb Tower is too strong and Wall Breakers. So it seems like you're on the same page as them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So I wanted to ask you, what if, like, nothing against Seth or the balancing team at all, because it's easy for us as kind of like talking head YouTubers to be critical all the time. But like I said, credit where credit is due. The meta is and win conditions are really, really healthy right now, it feels like. But despite that, they have shown kind of a habit in the past of maybe just going a little bit too hard on these balance changes. So what if they nerf the miner too much? How would the meta change? What would a meta in Clash Royale look like with no miner? I can't even picture it.
I don't even want to know, but if I had to, well, as I said, I think I already said this, but the miner is basically used in every single archetype. So hypothetically, if the miner is completely useless, you can't play, and you're throwing 3 elixir in the garbage, I'm not sure what it will look like. We're going back in time 3-4 years.
Right? It's the Jason deck. It's just the Jason deck. I mean, let me ask you about a couple of like specific archetypes. So this is kind of the first thing that came to mind, even though it's definitely not like the most pressing card, I would guess. But what about Elixir Pump? Like, does Miner open up a door for a little bit more Elixir Pump if it's not even in the meta? Because obviously Miner's a great response along with spells like Earthquake and stuff to Elixir Pump.
I don't know, from my experience, I don't think Miner is even that good of a counter to Elixir Collector, because everyone has learned how to defend Elixir Collectors.
Yeah.
Or they can just use their spell on it if that's an issue. Yeah,
okay,
I don't think Elixir Pump would be the issue. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so that's not the issue. So what would it be then? Like, what would you play if there was no
Well, actually, before I played Miner, long time ago, way back, I used to play, I think, Mortar Control, even Expo before that, I believe. So I may go back to those roots. I'm not really sure. I can't picture it right now.
I know, right? It's definitely interesting. I can't picture the game. I remember when they released Miner, it was like, it seemed like such a weird card. I remember some people were like upset about it. Like, what? Wait, a card that burrows underground? And like people were like kind of like, upset. That in Graveyard way back in the day. But now they're just such a staple of the game. So, I don't know. It's hard to even picture a meta without Miner, I don't know. Like, do you think that what type of archetype would get stronger without Miner?
I would definitely say Beatdown. Because without control and Miner, you don't really have another option. There's really only Bridge Spam, Bait, and Beatdown really left. That's it.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. So I guess we'll wait to see what the balance changes will be. I invited Seth to come on the channel, but obviously he's busy probably preparing for this balance update right now. But hopefully we can get him on after the fact and maybe get you back and kind of react to once we actually learn what the balance changes are. Is there anything else you're expecting to see in the balance changes? You kind of mentioned the Wall Breakers and the Bomb Tower as well, but anything else that you find frustrating or bad for the game, like health-wise?
One thing, Ash, just one thing.
Yeah, hit me.
Magic Archer.
Magic Archer.
Please.
Okay.
It does so much damage, and when it's at the bridge, it's out of control in my opinion.
Yeah, do you think that's the issue? It's just the damage it does? Like, how would you use Magic Archer?
Either hit speed or damage, maybe. I'm not sure how much the damage would affect, but probably hit speed. If I had to guess.
Yeah. And again, just like I mentioned before, Flobby and Morton both said the same exact thing. Magic Archer, the hit speed, just moving it a little slightly.
Yeah, the Magic Archer is very similar to cards like Flying Machine, Cannon Card. When they're strong, they're so annoying to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, I think that we've gotten your insight on the Miner. A lot of people asking me to get you on the channel. Anything else that we should know about the life and times of B-Rad, or any thoughts on the meta or the game in general?
Well, I mean, I think I kind of want to talk about this, but I've been playing the Miner, not just casually, like I'm sure a lot of people have, for 3 years. I've been playing it competitively for that long, too. CCGS, Sierra. I've been playing Miner throughout the entire thing. There's nothing about the Miner that I probably don't know already.
Okay, so give us a quick tip on miner that we don't know.
Quick tip. A lot of people don't realize this, but even if your opponent, you think they have NATO, a King Tower activation is not the worst thing. Because if you're locked into that one spot, the anti-King Tower activation, you're really being oppressed. You can't really get any damage if it's so easy to predict. It doesn't really matter if the King Tower is activated. Go for that damage when you can.
Okay, so sending in the first miner of the match, are you sending it in, let's just say
somewhere they can be NATO'd all the time.
Okay, so you're sending it like, okay, what about this one? This is absolutely the weirdest question that means nothing at all, but you have one miner left that you need one shovel hit on, and it's the end of the game, you're in overtime or something. Where are you sending it? Where's the least likely of an opponent to predict?
There's two types of players. There's top ladder, or like really end in GCs. Yeah. That's when I always make the most obvious prediction. I usually go like King Tower, safe spot, on the outside. But if it's against just a random player, I just go wherever I feel like.
Okay, I like that. So you go in the most obvious against a really good player, and the least obvious against somebody who knows, right?
Yeah,
so,
who knows?
Okay, one more. Now I thought of another question to ask you. Is during CRL, I wondered if you felt like pigeonholed, especially with bans and stuff, and the whole mental game that comes with that. Did you feel like just being known as such an amazing miner player, even if not just in a miner cycle deck, do you feel like people having that against you played to your benefit or played to your weakness?
Specifically in the second split, I think every single deck I went against, they played Zap to counter my Inferno Tower. So they're definitely keeping it in mind, just making sure that if they got that matchup, they would have a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So you think that overall it was annoying? What was your second? I mean, you mentioned Mortar and Expo and stuff. Is that your second? I don't have like your CRL stats in front of me, but what was like your second most comfortable deck if you had to win a match? And you couldn't.
CRL? I could probably play Pigs, RG, decks like those. Yeah.
Got you, man. Well, hey, you're staying around. You're not in CRL 2020, but you're still a
full-time content.
And, and we're looking forward to it for sure. You stream and upload daily on your YouTube channel. Again, that will be linked below. Brad, thanks so much for coming on, man. Appreciate it, and love getting your insight on the miner and everything kind of balance and meta in CR.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It was fun to talk about the soon-to-be minor nerf.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, you heard it. As promised, B-Rad on the channel. We'll try to get him back after we find out what the nerf is going to be. And again, let me know, guys. Did B-Rad change your mind? Are you more receptive to the idea of nerfing the miner, or the majority of you guys still, no, don't touch my miner? Let me know in the comments below. And again, thanks to B-Rad, thanks to Clash Royale, and thanks to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Check out their information as well. And thanks to you guys for using creator code CWA, and as always, take care, guys.